General Hospital will reveal about the public is in an uproar following the shocking incident involving Sheree Gustin, the ex-wife of actor Steve Burton, who was attacked by one of his devoted fans. According to various sources, the incident took place one evening as Sheree was leaving a gym in California. A middle-aged man, reportedly a longtime fan of Steve, aggressively approached her, shouting accusations about her negative remarks against Steve and his new girlfriend, Michelle Lundstrom. The confrontation quickly escalated, with the fan physically shoving Sheree while yelling insults, calling her a liar, a manipulator, and the person responsible for trying to ruin Steve's life. Caught off guard, Sheree attempted to defend herself and called for help, but the attacker only fled the scene after a witness contacted the police. Shortly after, she was taken to the hospital for emergency treatment, where doctors confirmed that she had sustained only minor bruises and superficial injuries. However, rather than simply receiving treatment and filing a police report, Sheree took the opportunity to launch a full-blown media attack on Steve. She exaggerated the severity of her injuries and publicly claimed that Steve bore responsibility for the attack, alleging that his silence had indirectly encouraged hostility toward her. She even demanded financial compensation from him, arguing that his refusal to speak out against his aggressive fan base had put her in danger. This incident unfolded amidst ongoing tensions between Steve and Sheree, particularly after Steve went public with his relationship with Michelle Lundstrom. Since their divorce, Sheree has consistently criticized Michelle online, portraying her as a manipulative figure who has influenced Steve into violating their agreements regarding child custody and shared assets. She has filed multiple lawsuits against Steve, accusing him of failing to honor their legal arrangements and attempting to paint herself as a victim of betrayal and mistreatment. Public opinion on the matter remains deeply divided. While some sympathize with Sheree and argue that no one deserves to be subjected to violence, the majority view her actions as another calculated move to tarnish Steve's image. Many online comments criticize her for seeking attention and prolonging the post-divorce drama. Social media platforms have been flooded with heated debates, with many users expressing frustration over what they see as Sheree's desperate attempts to stay relevant. Meanwhile, Steve Burton has maintained his silence, refusing to publicly address the situation. However, sources close to him suggest that he has already consulted his legal team to prepare for any potential legal repercussions stemming from the incident. Given the escalating nature of their dispute, many speculate that this is just the beginning of a larger legal battle between Steve and his ex-wife. As tensions continue to rise, one key question remains: will this incident lead to a full-scale court battle, or is it simply another publicity stunt from Sheree to extend her time in the spotlight? One thing is certain: this saga is far from over, and the public remains eager to see what unfolds next. Amid Sheree Gustin's continuous attacks on Steve Burton and his new relationship, public sentiment has turned overwhelmingly against her. Social media has been flooded with heated discussions, with thousands of users weighing in on the situation. Many have condemned her behavior, accusing her of intentionally stirring up drama and making Steve's life difficult simply because she is bitter about his new romance. Some have even argued that Sheree has been actively trying to paint herself as a victim to garner sympathy and shift the blame onto Steve and Michelle Lundstrom, his fiancée. One of the primary reasons for the backlash against Sheree is her relentless online tirades against Michelle. Since Steve publicly confirmed his relationship, Sheree has taken to social media on multiple occasions to post cryptic messages, snide remarks, and indirect jabs at Michelle, alluding that she is the reason behind the breakdown of their family. Many of her posts have been interpreted as passive-aggressive attempts to undermine Michelle and discredit her in the eyes of the public. However, these efforts have largely backfired, as more and more people have begun to view Sheree's actions as bitter and vindictive rather than justified. In addition to her social media outbursts, Sheree has taken legal action against Steve, filing multiple lawsuits accusing him of violating their child custody agreement and mishandling financial matters. These legal maneuvers have only added fuel to the fire, further painting Sheree in a negative light. Detractors argue that her lawsuits are not rooted in genuine concern for her children but are instead a means to retaliate against Steve for moving on. Many have pointed out that prior to Steve's public relationship with Michelle, Sheree did not make such aggressive legal claims, leading some to speculate that her motivations are driven more by personal resentment than by legitimate grievances. As the controversy surrounding Sheree continues to escalate, Steve Burton has maintained a calm and composed demeanor. Despite being the target of his ex-wife's accusations and the ensuing media frenzy, he has refused to engage in public disputes or respond to her provocations. His silence has been widely interpreted as a deliberate decision to avoid fueling the drama any further. Instead of retaliating or defending himself through public statements, Steve has chosen to focus on his private life and career while allowing the legal system to address any outstanding disputes between him and Sheree. However, even though Steve has not spoken out publicly about the situation, sources close to him have revealed that he has been monitoring the developments closely. In a display of maturity and concern, he reportedly reached out to inquire about Sheree's well-being after the attack by the enraged fan. Despite their tumultuous history and the ongoing legal battles between them, Steve's decision to check in on her health demonstrates that he is not harboring personal resentment toward her. His gesture, however, did not go unnoticed by the public. While some commended Steve for being the bigger person and showing compassion, others viewed his actions as unnecessary, arguing that Sheree had brought the situation upon herself. Some of his supporters believe that Sheree has manipulated public perception for too long and that Steve's continued kindness toward her is only enabling her to keep up her toxic behavior. As the situation unfolds, it remains unclear how much further Sheree is willing to go in her campaign against Steve and Michelle. With tensions at an all-time high and the court cases still ongoing, many are speculating whether she will continue down this path of conflict or eventually accept that Steve has moved on. Meanwhile, Steve's approach of remaining silent and refusing to be baited into public arguments has been widely praised, with many seeing it as a sign of emotional maturity and resilience. For now, it seems that the battle between Steve and Sheree is far from over. Whether this will result in more legal battles, further public spats, or a final resolution remains to be seen. However, one thing is certain, this high-profile feud has captivated public attention, and people will be eagerly watching to see what happens next. The incident sparked a fierce debate across social media, with thousands of comments flooding various platforms. Many of Steve Burton's supporters expressed their belief that Sheree Gustin was merely facing the consequences of her own actions. They pointed to her alleged infidelity during their marriage, as well as her ongoing attempts to shift blame onto Steve and his new fiancée, Michelle Lundstrom. To them, this was a clear case of karma at work. Sheree had spent months attacking Steve and Michelle online, dragging their names through the mud, and now, she was experiencing firsthand the backlash that came with such behavior. This is what happens when you spend all your time trying to ruin someone else's life, one user wrote on Twitter. She's been trashing Steve for months. Maybe now she'll finally learn to move on. Another comment read, Sheree was the one who cheated, lied, and then played the victim. People aren't stupid. She made herself the villain, and now she wants sympathy. Others were even harsher in their criticism. She keeps acting like Steve owes her something. He doesn't. He gave her over 20 years of his life, and she threw it away. She should be grateful he even asks about her well-being. However, not everyone agreed with this perspective. A significant number of people condemned the attack on Sheree, arguing that no matter how controversial her actions may have been, no one deserved to be physically harmed. Violence is never the answer, one user posted on Facebook. It doesn't matter what she's said or done, someone physically attacking her is unacceptable. Another user echoed similar sentiments, I don't like what Sheree's been doing, but come on. A fan actually assaulted her. This is going too far. People need to stop treating celebrities and their exes like characters in a TV show. Some discussions became more heated, with both sides clashing over their views. She was literally asking for it, one person argued in a comment thread. Excuse me? No one asks to be attacked. That's disgusting, another person replied. Well, maybe she shouldn't have spent all this time running her mouth and playing the victim. Actions have consequences. And you think physical assault is a reasonable consequence? Seriously? You're just as bad as the person who attacked her. Meanwhile, a few voices attempted to bring some balance to the conversation. This whole situation is just sad, one user wrote. Yes, Sheree has been making things worse for herself, but this attack is just fueling more hatred. Everyone needs to take a step back. As the debate raged on, Steve himself remained silent on the matter, refusing to release a public statement. However, sources close to him revealed that he was aware of the controversy and had privately checked in on Sheree after the attack. Despite their legal disputes and the ongoing tensions, he was reportedly concerned about her well-being. He doesn't want to add fuel to the fire, an insider shared. He's trying to handle things quietly, but obviously, this whole situation has gotten out of control. Whether the controversy will continue to escalate remains uncertain, but one thing is clear, this public feud between Steve and Sheree is far from over, and the world is watching closely to see what happens next. The media is closely following the unfolding drama between Steve Burton and his ex-wife, Sheree Gustin, with speculation mounting that the tensions between them could soon escalate into a full-fledged legal battle. What started as a highly publicized divorce has now spiraled into an ongoing conflict, filled with allegations, social media feuds, and now even physical altercations involving third parties. Journalists, entertainment bloggers, and legal analysts are all weighing in on the situation, debating whether this latest incident will push either party to take further legal action. While no official lawsuit has been filed following Sheree's assault, legal experts suggest that this could be the tipping point that propels both sides into an intense courtroom showdown. Sheree has already demonstrated her willingness to pursue legal avenues against Steve, having previously accused him of violating their child custody agreement and mishandling financial arrangements. With the attack on her now making headlines, some sources speculate that she might try to hold Steve accountable for the actions of his fan, despite him having no direct involvement. If she were to move forward with legal action, she could attempt to argue that Steve's silence and refusal to denounce his supporters created a hostile environment that ultimately led to her being harmed. A prominent entertainment lawyer weighed in on the situation, stating, "It wouldn't be surprising if Sheree's legal team tries to build a case around negligence or emotional distress. If she can argue that Steve knew his fans were becoming increasingly aggressive but did nothing to stop it, she might have grounds to pursue damages." However, proving such a claim in court would be difficult, as Steve has made no public statements that could be interpreted as encouraging violence, nor has there been any evidence linking him directly to the attacker. On the other hand, some sources suggest that it might be Steve who takes legal action against Sheree. Over the past several months, she has made numerous public statements accusing him of wrongdoing, some of which could be considered defamatory. If Steve and his legal team decide that Sheree's allegations have damaged his reputation or career opportunities, they might explore a defamation lawsuit as a means of putting an end to her continuous public attacks. While Steve has remained silent thus far, insiders claim that he is growing increasingly frustrated with the way his ex-wife continues to drag his name through the mud. Steve is a private guy. He doesn't want to be involved in all this drama, but at some point, he might have to take a stand, a source close to the actor revealed. He's tried to handle things civilly, but if she keeps pushing, he may have no choice but to fight back legally. Regardless of whether a lawsuit emerges from this latest controversy, one thing is clear, Steve Burton's post-divorce life has been anything but peaceful. When he and Sheree first separated, many assumed that the two would eventually settle into an amicable co-parenting relationship, as many celebrity exes do. However, it quickly became apparent that their split would not be so simple. With Sheree using social media to air grievances, file legal complaints, and now find herself at the center of a violent altercation, it is clear that the turmoil between them is far from over. The ongoing drama has also put a strain on Steve's relationship with Michelle Lundstrom. While the couple remains strong, sources say that Michelle has had to endure constant online harassment from Sheree's supporters. Michelle knew there would be some backlash when they went public with their relationship, but she never expected this level of hate, an insider disclosed. She's been called everything from a homewrecker to a gold digger, and it's taken a toll. Despite the chaos surrounding his personal life, Steve has continued to focus on his work, appearing at fan conventions and staying engaged with his loyal supporters. However, even his fans are starting to notice the strain. At a recent event, when asked about his personal life, Steve simply shook his head and said, "I just want to move forward. That's all I can do." His response was met with applause, with many of his fans voicing their support for him and urging him to keep his head high. As this situation continues to unfold, media outlets remain on high alert for the next development. Will Sheree escalate her legal claims against Steve? Will Steve finally break his silence and take action against his ex-wife? Will the tensions between them finally reach a breaking point? For now, all eyes are on the former couple, and one thing is certain, this is a story far from its final chapter.